be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us.
Hello, this top 10 video is top 10 world records never broken. Number 10, tallest male and female to ever live. There are plenty of people many consider giants, but only one man has taken the record as the tallest giant in history. The tallest person ever born, whose height has been medically recorded, was Robert Wadlow. Though he was born to average-sized parents and weighed 8.7 pounds at birth, Wadlow was destined to stand above the rest of humanity at 8 feet and 11.1 inches, 2.72 meters. Sadly, he only lived to the age of 22, though there was no indication he wouldn't have continued growing had he lived longer. The tallest woman ever known to live was Zheng Jinlian of Yujiang village in the Hunan province of China. She stood 8 foot and 1 inch, at the time of her death in 1982 at the age of 17. She began growing abnormally at only 4 months old, managing to grow to a whopping 5 feet 1.5 inches before her 4th birthday. By the age of 13, she was already 7 feet 1.5 inches. Her record height was recorded by Guinness World Records as the tallest female ever documented. However, other women who were shorter were given a record for being the tallest woman alive at the time they were recorded. Number 9. The largest office building ever built. When people think of what might be the world's largest office building, they probably picture a skyscraper stretching to the heavens, but in reality, it's only 5 stories high. Of course, height doesn't matter, what does matter is square footage in terms of office space and personnel capacity. The building that set the record in 1955 and continues to hold it is the United States Pentagon in Washington, D.C., with more than 6.6 million square feet of total floor area. Of that, there are more than 3.7 million square feet of office space spread across 5 floors above ground with 2 basement levels. There is more than 3 times the amount of space in the Pentagon than there is in the Empire State Building in New York City, and its numerous corridors stretch for 17.5 miles. Number 8. Is the world's richest man. It is not who you think it is. In 2020, the world's wealthiest man was Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, who had racked up $146.9 billion in personal wealth. While that might just buy everything Amazon sells several thousand times over, it's not the most personal wealth a single person has had in the history of the world, when adjusted for inflation. The person who towered over Bezos in terms of personal wealth was none other than John D. Rockefeller, a man who controlled 90% of oil production in the United States. In 1913, his personal wealth was listed at $900 million. Of course, that was in 1913 dollars, but when you adjust it for inflation and add the accumulation of wealth leading up to his death in 1937, Rockefeller's worth jumps to $418 billion. Nobody else in the history of the world could compare to that amount of wealth, though it's difficult to compare him to someone like an Egyptian pharaoh or Augustus Caesar, so he holds the record of being the richest person in modern history. Forbes declared Rockefeller the richest person in history in 2006 when his adjusted wealth topped $305.3 billion, and it's only increased since then. Number 7. The highest grossing movie, adjusted. In 2019, Avengers: Endgame set a new record for being the highest grossing movie of all time, pushing James Cameron's Avatar into second place. Endgame earned an impressive $2,797,800,564 at the global box office, and while it's likely this record will one day be broken, the movie that holds the record when adjusted for inflation has been held by the same film since 1939. Gone with the Wind was insanely popular when it came out in 1939, having gone on to win 10 Academy Awards following 13 nominations at the 12th Academy Awards. The film managed to pull in $390 million at the worldwide box office, which would be a lot of money in today's economy, but in 1939, it was staggeringly high. When adjusted for inflation, Gone with the Wind earned the equivalent to $7.2 billion in 2020. Even more impressive is the number of tickets sold when compared to Avatar, which sold 78.3 million tickets. Gone with the Wind sold a staggering 225.7 million tickets when it came out, which isn't a number that any modern film can reasonably break. Number 6. World's longest fingernails. If you've ever cracked open a copy of Guinness World Records, odds are, you've seen a picture of Sri Chil of Pune, India, and recoiled in horror from what you saw. That's because Sri Chil holds the record for having the world's longest fingernails, which is a record he achieved by not cutting his fingernails for 66 years. Of course, having nails like that wouldn't make it possible to use your hand for much of anything, so he only grew the nails on his left while keeping his right hand neatly trimmed. When his nails were finally cut, they measured in at a disturbing 9.09 meters. He began growing them out, or stopped cutting them, whichever makes more sense, when he was 14 years old. Number 5. World's most targeted person by lightning. The chances of getting struck by lightning at one point during a person's lifetime are 1 in 15,300. Now, that's a pretty rare occurrence, to be sure, but what about getting struck by lightning more than once in your lifetime? Unless it happens a fraction of a second after the first strike, the odds are astronomical, but don't tell that to Roy C. Sullivan. He was struck 7 times, and he survived. Number 4. The world's fattest man. John Brower Minock set the record for being the heaviest human being ever recorded, and when he was at his heaviest, he weighed in at a massive 635 kilograms. Minock was never a thin man, and when he was 12 years old, he weighed 133 kilograms. By the age of 22, he stood 6'1", and weighed 230 kilograms. Minock's weight became a significant factor in his declining health, and it was determined that his weight was due to a condition in which the body generates excess fluid. He was hospitalized for 16 months, during which he lost 419 kilograms, which almost set another record that placed him with the second largest amount of weight loss to have ever been recorded. Unfortunately, a year later, he weighed nearly 1,000 pounds, and he was dead less than 2 years later. At the time of his death, he weighed 262 kilograms. Number 3. Most decorated Olympian of all time. Getting a single medal is an incredible achievement, which automatically classifies a person as being at the top of their particular sport, so for anyone who nabs more than one, it's a shiny declaration that they're the best person in the world in what they do. For Michael Phelps, that's certainly the case, as he currently holds the record for winning more Olympic gold medals than anyone else in history. Phelps racked up a mind-boggling 28 Olympic medals in total over the course of his athletic career. Of those, 23 are gold, 3 are silver, and 2 are bronze. Along with those impressive achievements, Phelps also racked up a large number of Guinness World Records, having set them for fastest swim long course, most silver medals awarded in a single Olympic swimming race, and many more. Number 2. Most atomic blasts survived. When the atomic bomb was dropped, Tsutomu Yamaguchi was on a business trip to Hiroshima, and he miraculously survived. After the city was destroyed, he returned to his hometown, which, sadly, it was Nagasaki, the site of the second blast. He arrived just in time to witness and survive the second bomb, making him either twice lucky or twice damned, given what he lived through and witnessed. Tsutomu Yamaguchi not only survived the war, but he also survived the century, living to the age of 93, having succumbed to stomach cancer in 2010. Number 1. Most records ever broken. For most people desiring to break or set a record, doing it only once is enough to boost the ego and give you something to brag about among your friends. That works for the vast majority of folks, but Ashrita Furman doesn't care about breaking one record, he cares about breaking as many records as humanly possible, which is why he holds the record for having the most broken records in history. Yes, he's a record-breaking record breaker and has broken more than 600 records in over 30 years. Not all of his records stand, so only about 200 currently stand, but that doesn't detract from his many accomplishments that prove there are all kinds of strange records Guinness has verified. The first record he broke was knocking out 27,000 jumping jacks in 6 hours and 45 minutes, and from there, he was hooked. He broke records for balancing a chainsaw on his chin, most fire torches lit and extinguished in 1 minute, most arrows broken with the neck in 1 minute, and hundreds more. Because he's racked up so many, it's unlikely anyone will devote the same amount of time and energy to break it, but you never know.